Davis joins us now on 365 Sports with Craig and Paul, David Smoak. And, Coach, thank you so much for your time. We do appreciate it. I spoke with you earlier today about looking at some of the quarterbacks around the country and what you've seen, and there's some that get more attention, of course, than others. And thank you for your time. How you been, by the way?
I've been fine, David. I appreciate the opportunity to come on with you guys. I appreciate what you do talking about college sports.
Well, we appreciate you. Mac has been on with us a couple of different times. He was in town earlier, back in late August for a luncheon here in Waco. So I'll throw out a name or two, and then, and of course, there may be some that you want to add to the mix. But what are your thoughts about what you see in Garrett Nussmeier at LSU?
Very impressed with Garrett. He's obviously a smart guy. He's tough. He'll stand in the pocket and take a hit to deliver the ball. I think he's got good arm strength, and very, very, very impressed. He would have been high on my list.
Greg, the transfer portal has reshuffled the deck in a way that, nobody could have really seen how it would affect in the way it would work out, because there was no real plan to it. But it's been beneficial for a lot of quarterbacks. Now, a lot of guys on their third school, it's not that great, but Tommy Castellanos at FSU seems to have fallen into a program, a situation offensively that suits him. What have you thought about his performance in Gus Malzahn's system and how the Seminoles have looked through the first 2 weeks?
I've been very impressed. I watched their first game all the way through. And, of course, Gus does a great job. I've known Gus for quite a while. And he does a great job. And the thing about what Gus does and what he's doing at Florida State is a great mixture of run-pass and the ability to throw the ball off the run game. And I did not watch their second ball game, but I was extremely impressed with them against Alabama.
Felt like vintage Gus, didn't it? Just seeing him being able to kind of have the more carefree attitude of being able to focus just on the offense and not the entire program. It's almost like a weight lifted off his shoulders.
He looked 10 years younger to me.
Absolutely. Coach, when you look at the Arch Manning start down at Texas, obviously we got a little taste of him last year, and everybody knows how overmodulated the conversation and sometimes unrealistic the expectations are. But what did you kind of think about his situation rolling into this year, and what have been your impressions and maybe getting some eyes on him more through these first couple of weeks?
First of all, let me say this. I think Arch will be fine. I think everybody needs to take a little bit of a chill pill. I spoke with a couple of sports writers before the season, and they said, well, he's Archie's grandson. Eli and Peyton are great, pros. I said, he's been a Manning all his life. He's dealt with that since birth. I hurt for him against Ohio State because I know how hard it is to win up there. And I'm glad he bounced back and looked like himself. The thing that Arch can do, other than make all the throws, he's got a lot more athletic ability than either Peyton or Eli had in terms of being able to take a bad play and go get a first down. So I think Sark will do a great job with him. I think he will be. He'll be just fine.
Did you notice, and first of all, Ohio State's really good, and that the strength of their team was back on defense with some of the All-Americans they have. Did you, when you watched that game progress, the opponent was fantastic, but do you feel like they were a little tentative in what they were trying to do against the defense that they weren't sure they were going to see with Matt Patricia?
You would have to be. One of the things that coaches hate is playing somebody early that was not there the year before.
Mm-hmm.
So you end up saying, okay, what did he do with the Patriots? What did he do with the Lions when he was the head coach? And you're really guessing. And I thought going into the ball game, I told some friends that I expected to be a low-scoring game because I thought both teams would just kind of trade punches, try not to lose the game early. And I think that's what happened. They were both kind of filling each other out. Two really good defenses on the field at the same time. And so I think it was more of that than being tentative. I think both teams were trying to be smart.
We just talked about it in our last segment. There's 4 true freshman quarterbacks that started the season, and all of them have looked relatively good. What would it have had, what kind of a player would they have had to be when you were coaching for you to say, true freshman, you're going? Because that's something relatively new to college football. You had to be a superstar to start as a true freshman.
Very unusual. I did it for over 40 years, and I can't remember starting a true freshman in the first ball game of the year. But you had guys. You mentioned the portal. You had guys that had been in your program. Vince Young, when we were recruiting Vince Young, his mother asked me, what do you think? I said, the best thing for Vince to do is redshirt. And I think it was the best thing for it to do. And he went on to have an outstanding career. At the same time, I do think guys are coming out of high school more ready to play because of all the 7-on-7. More high schools are throwing the ball. It wasn't too long ago you could drive around Texas on a Friday night and you could see, a wishbone at this stadium, a split back veer at this stadium, maybe even a wing tee at a couple places. But people are throwing the ball so much more now. I think kids are coming out of high school better prepared for what they're going to see at the college level.
Greg, we had Mac on. I mentioned that just 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he's told the story. And you guys, obviously, you mentioned Vince Young, who might be the single greatest player that, the 2005 season, but how he all of a sudden just clicked and got it. What was the conversation you guys had with him when you could see it, you could feel it, but sometimes it wasn't quite clicking yet?
Well, Vince was a very, very prideful, obviously a tremendous athlete and a great quarterback. But we used to chart, all the throws and everything in practice. And it was amazing how much better he did early when we were on the practice field as opposed to going to DKR and scrimmages. I'm not talking about against the opponent. I'm talking about scrimmages.
Mm-hmm.
He was just so much more comfortable on the practice field. And about his second or third game, he was struggling a little bit, and we got our video guy to cut out some TV shots and some TV analysts, what they were saying, and we played it to him, and oh my gosh, what a throw from one sideline to the other sideline. There's not many guys that can do that. Oh, what a great decision. He pulled the ball down, went and got a first down, kept the drive alive. And I said, Vince, everybody believes in you, but I'm not sure you do.
Mm-hmm.
And you just need to relax and be yourself. And, Vince taught me a lot. I was of the school that, from Friday at about 3:00 until after the ball game on Saturday, you didn't smile. You didn't. It was all business. And Vince was much looser, and our team rallied around that. and his ability to turn it on at the right time. We're at the national championship game, and I mean he's out there and he's dancing on the field as we're loosening up. I mean, I'm about to bite a hole in my jaw, and he's, Coach, we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. And he was. It was at that point, I think, 3 or 4 games in, when he just said, "Okay, I'm just going to relax and be myself."
How much do you have to be a psychologist as a QB coach? Because you are it's not group therapy during the game, right? Like you
Right.
can bring the other guys over. Wide receivers, running backs, offensive linemen, they all have other guys that they can say, "Hey, can you help me out with this? Can you hey, make sure I see this?" The quarterback, it's all on him. And you have to sit there and talk him through these things and make sure he's not too high or too low. What is that aspect of the job like?
It's a big part of the job, and the ability to understand. It's very similar to raising kids. I mean, there's some guys that you can just get all over them, and they'll take out the point that you were making and forget the volume. There's other guys that you just need to talk to and say, I'm really disappointed in that decision. I mean, and that's like whipping them with a cane. I mean, and part of it is learning how each kid is. I remember in the national championship game, in the fourth quarter, and they'd gone up, and I looked down from the box, and Vince was sitting on the sideline, and I told our coach, I said, "Put Vince on the phone." And he got on the phone. I said, "Are you okay?" He said, "Yeah, I'm fine, Coach. I'm mad." I said, "Well, you don't look fine. Get your butt up and get up and down the sideline and tell everybody we're going to win this game." And he did. And but it would have been hard to tell him that when he was a freshman. He wouldn't have quite understood how to handle that. But it's all a part of it, and the biggest part is getting to know the player and what works for him.
Coach, you coached in the Big 12 and a very fun time period. Leach and his string of quarterbacks were doing great things. Oklahoma had huge moments. Gundy and Oklahoma State, so on and so forth. There's a pretty good batch right now. I don't know how much you've been able to get your eyes on the league or know about the current crop of quarterbacks, but do you know much about a Sawyer Robertson at Baylor, a Josh Hoover at TCU, an Avery Johnson at K-State? And if so, anybody stand out to you for one reason?
Yeah.
What?
Rocco Beck
at Iowa State.
Rocco Beck at Iowa State.
Yes, sir. Does anybody
I've
stand
seen
out
them
to
all.
you?
I've seen them all, and I think that it's obvious they're all the guy for their team. Iowa State, Rocco was playing Iowa this past week. I watched every snap of it, and that's not an easy game. I mean, it was both teams play really good defense, and the ability to keep your poise. Sawyer Robinson at Baylor. Wow, I watched the TCU ball game the other night, and the SMU game the other night, and what a job he did. I mean, they were down early. The SMU quarterback was lighting it up too.
Yep.
And just to bring his team back, and I think he threw 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, so he's done a heck of a job. Hoover at TCU, he's in the Brawl system, and they do a great job with quarterbacks and stretching the field and make you play both vertically and horizontally, and been impressed with him. So I think the Big 12 has several good players. Saw Texas Tech.
Mm-hmm.
I have to tell you guys. So I've got YouTube TV. I tape every ball game, college and pro. And on Monday morning after I do my little chores around the house, I tell my wife I'm going to work. I go upstairs and I watch football. And she says, "Will you be home by 5?" And I said, "I hope to be." Depends on the traffic, you know. So, so yeah, I still enjoy the game, enjoy watching the guys, and I think the Big 12 has a great group of players.
I have to ask you this about your time at Iowa, and then that team was it 2015 when you were there? They were 12-2, scored a ton of points. Obviously, Kirk Ferentz's teams have played great defense, including the game you mentioned with Iowa State. But there's always been that thought. It's like a team that runs an offense that's their air raid or whatever. Can a defense be good in a system or a team like that? But you put up numbers that year because the rap is that they don't allow that. Beathard was your quarterback. That seemed to be a year when Iowa put up as many numbers as anybody else.
Yeah, CJ. In fact, I think he had been cut by Jacksonville. I think he's back on the team in Jacksonville. He was, he was a guy that could really spin it, and I guess he's probably been in pro ball, 10 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Kirk was a fantastic football coach, and when CJ was there, he did not mind us, throwing it and pitching it around, but he wants to be good on defense, which they've been for a number of years, and he wants to be able to run the ball. And part of the reason he wants to be able to run the ball is you never know in the Big Ten, you may play in snow, and so you would like to be able to run the ball. He wants a physical football team, and but no, it's not that he's opposed to doing those things we did with CJ. It's just you got to have a guy that can do those things.
Greg Davis with us, former Texas offensive coordinator, was with Mack at Tulane, took over as head coach, also at Iowa, among other places as well. Craig brought up Sawyer Robertson. I want to get back to the fact he can run. He hasn't had to take off much, but he can. I'm sure they're probably telling him to be smart as any coach would do. But he seems to have the mentality that players follow him, which is what you want in a quarterback. Do you see the ability with what you've seen so far for him to be a guy that plays on Sundays?
As a fan, just watching, I would say yes. I think, when I was watching his ball game against SMU, there's a couple of things you look for that are things that not everybody can do. Not every quarterback can throw the ball from different platforms. Not every quarterback can throw the ball accurately without having to step into it. Not every quarterback can drop his arm down and throw from a different slot. I think he can do those things. I think he showed in that ball game he threw a touchdown pass with a guy right in his face. That tells me that he's tough and he's focused. And he's looking downfield. He's not worried about the rush. And then when you add the ability to make some first downs, it's unbelievable to a defense what happens when everybody is covered. There's no place to go with the ball, and the guy scrambles out and makes a first down. I tell you guys, you guys love football. I'm in Iowa. We're playing Ohio State, and J.T. Barrett is their quarterback, and Bobby Kennedy, who was with me at Texas, is our receiver coach. We got him on 3rd and 12. And he drops back. There is not a soul open. They are blanketed. And he runs around, makes a linebacker miss, and makes 15 yards for a first down. And I hear Bobby Kennedy on the headset says, must be what it was like to play against men.
Yeah.
You do everything you do everything right, and the guy goes and gets you a fresh set of downs, and they don't have to do it all the time, but the ability to do it. And then you start, stay in your rush lanes, and okay, we're going to spy somebody, and the defense starts having to make adjustments because, hey, this guy can beat us with his legs also.
Who was your quarterback recruiting wise that you always felt was the one that got away?
Well, I recruited Eli, and Eli and Chris Sims were coming out the same year, and we were, I think we were 1-2, 2-1 with both of those young guys, and they both knew each other through, all the camps and all the recruiting, and they both knew each other. Eli came to visit, and we were playing Oklahoma State, and Major threw for like 410 yards in the ball game, and I'm thinking, as I'm coming down, we're going to take Archie and Olivia and go over to Mac's house. I'm thinking, this could not have been any better. I mean, this was perfect. I mean, a guy comes in, he wants to throw the ball, we rip it up and down the field, and it was a great visit. I think that he had a wonderful time, and I think David Cutcliffe was the difference. Mm-hmm. I think, David had coached Eli at Tennessee, and if David would have stayed at Tennessee, I think Eli probably would have come to Texas. That's just my guess, but the fact that he had gone over as the head coach at Ole Miss, and of course Archie had played there, so that one was one. Now, when we lost him, we did not have Sims. We eventually got Sims. So, would Chris have come if I had committed to us, or who knows? Mm-hmm. Recruiting is a little bit of a game of marbles. You're not sure what all happens, and to make a kid choose your school or whatever. But he was a big name guy that that we had worked on, and that would probably be the one. I mean, all the way back, recruiting has changed so much from the time I got in 1978 at Texas A&M, and I was working on Gary Kubiak, and until the end. And thank goodness I retired right before the portal, because I'm afraid that would have driven me crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway, that would probably be the biggest name guy that got away.
We, Greg, if you don't mind, would like to get you on again down the road. Appreciate your time. Phil Bennett contacted me. I was asking him about somebody he thought of that could help analyze some of the quarterbacks. If you don't mind, we'll be back in touch with you again.
Hey, my pleasure. There's, between Bluebell ice cream and talking about quarterbacks, I'm pretty happy.
There you go. Absolutely true. That's Greg Davis, a longtime college football coach